All right, today let's talk about correcting things that your dog does repetitively. So, this is often an issue that people run into whether they're walking with their dog at their side and their dog repetitively gets ahead of them. Or they put their dog in a place in their house, and the second they leave the room, their dog breaks and gets out of position. Anything where your dog is repetitively breaking a command or repetitively doing a behavior that you don't like, one of the biggest reasons people have this issue is because they don't anticipate that the dog is going to do it and correct the second the dog starts thinking about doing it and not waiting until they actually do it. Now, this is a subjective thing that you have to be able to read the dog and kind of see what they're about to do. But if I'm foosing with a dog and they start to put their head toward the ground, right at that moment, I know this dog is no longer paying attention to me and what we're doing. It's starting to look for scent. And I give it a little bump and I say, hey, pay attention, foos with me. And so I want to catch that dog the second they start to get distracted from what we're doing and not wait until they put their nose to the ground, start sniffing, and then pull ahead. Or if I'm walking with a dog and I know I have cats around, and the minute I see my dog look up and identify a cat and maybe want to start moving towards it a little bit, I go, boom, hey, foos with me, stay with me. So what we want to start doing in these repetitive processes, these repetitive behaviors that the dogs are doing, is we want to get ahead of them. A lot of people wait until the dog does the thing, then they usually wait a couple seconds after the dog does the thing, and then they try to correct the behavior. And while it'll correct it in that moment, typically, it just keeps happening over and over and over again. And the reason this is happening is because you're not anticipating that it's going to happen, and then correct it when the dog is thinking about doing it, not when they're actually doing it. So what I want my dogs to think is, holy crap, this guy can read my brain. And if you observe your dog, you will be able to tell when they're thinking about doing a thing before they do it. So here's a classic example. If you have your dog up on a platform and they look at the ground, they do that just before they jump off the platform, right? They're looking for where am I going to land? They look down there, and if you wait for them to jump, now you're trying to catch a dog midair and tell them, get back into your place and all this other kind of stuff. Whereas if I see the dog look at the ground and I grab the lead and I go, phooey that, you wait. They were thinking about jumping down there and I said, no, don't do that. Stay in your place, right? So I'm catching them before they're even doing the act so that they stop thinking about doing the act. And in their dog brains, they're like, wow, this guy knows what I'm going to do before I even do it. Okay, I guess I won't do it. Right? The other thing that we can start doing is we can start setting the dog up slightly for failure. So what I mean by this is if the dog likes to get ahead of me, right? And I maybe give them a bump back and they come back for a second, they go right back out. And they come back for a second, go right back out. There's two things going on here. One is the dog is using the lead to tell where his handler is. And so he pulls up until there's tension and then he uses that tension to tell where his handler is. So I can take that away by giving a little bit of extra lead, like an extra foot of lead, right? So now I've got this loop in my lead, so the dog can't use that. The only way they're gonna use it then is to go all the way out to that extra foot, which now they're way out of position, right? So sometimes just dropping that loop, they'll back up because they're like, whoa, all my input from the lead went away. I need to back up so I can see my person. Sometimes that does work. But a lot of times what happens is what they're doing is they're not even cheating and telling where you are by the lead. They're just interested in what's out in front of them, and they're kind of ignoring you a little bit. And they just pull up till they feel tension, but they're really focused out there. They're not focused on their handler. So when that happens, I'll drop that extra 1 to 2 feet of lead, and then I just go turn, and I bam with the lead. Now, if the dog is paying attention to me and they come to my side, they won't get corrected. But if they're not paying attention to me, they're continuing on in the direction they're going. I've turned to go a different direction. Boom, they get corrected with the lead. But when they come up to me, I don't fuss at them and act like there's anything wrong. I just go, good foos. And I'll do that until the dog stops going out ahead and they stay with me. Right? So there's various different ways that you can set these different exercises up. If it's a place in the house and you want your dog to wait in a place in the house, and every time you leave the room, they get out of position, well, then what I want to do is put them in the position, and I want to go to where I'm about to step out of their sight, and I step out of their sight for like 1 second, and I step back. And if they're still in position, I go, good wait. If they started to move, I walk over, I correct them, I put them back, and I do it again. And then pretty soon I'll be able to step behind the corner, open the refrigerator and get a drink and walk back in, and they'll still be in position. And then I can go for a minute, and then I can go for 5 minutes, and then I can go for 10 minutes. But you have to work each of these exercises on their own independently, and you have to anticipate what the dog's gonna do, use their failure to teach them, and then be consistent in that as you go through your program so that your dog knows, I always do this thing when my person tells me to do X. So I hope that's been helpful for you guys. If you have any other questions, you can always reach out to me. My email is joel@fortresscanine.com. You can send me any questions that you have there. If you already have a dog and you want more help training your dog, check out Canine Academy. Go to thesurvivalpodcast.com, Jack's website. Click on the Canine Academy banner on his website and check it out. We have a bunch of different options for different levels of training that you have there. And if you're looking for a working line puppy or a fully trained protection dog, check out fortresscanine.com. Fill out the consultation form, and we'd be happy to reach out and communicate with you and see if we can provide something that'd be of use. Until next time, remember to train hard and stay safe.